Are you ready for the unexpected? Here we go. Number 1. Mohenjo Daro. Let's start in the Indus Valley about 4,500 years ago. Mohenjo Daro looked like a city designed by an engineer with OCD. Straight streets, brick houses, drainage systems running under the roads. They even had something close to flush toilets. While Europeans were still figuring out how to use chamber pots without poisoning themselves, Mohenjo Daro residents had bathrooms with private bathing areas connected to covered sewers. Some houses even had multiple floors, which makes you wonder if landlords back then charged extra rent for river views. The creepy part is how organized it all was. This wasn't a city that grew randomly. It was planned like SimCity, but with actual consequences. No kings or flashy temples have been found, which means the people probably ran it more collectively. And here's the kicker, we still don't know their language. So all we can do is stare at their engineering like Nice plumbing, bro. Number 2, Teotihuacan. Now jump to central Mexico about 2,000 years ago. Teotihuacan wasn't just a city, it was a monster of stone and fire. At its peak, around 100,000 people lived there. The Avenue of the Dead ran straight through the heart of the city, lined with massive pyramids that dwarfed anything in Europe at the time. The Pyramid of the Sun is still one of the largest in the world. But here's the weirdest detail. Underneath the city, archaeologists found tunnels filled with glittering pyrite pools of liquid mercury and carved figurines. It's like the builders had a side hustle as interior decorators for aliens. No one knows who started Teotihuacan. It wasn't the Aztecs. By the time they arrived, the city was already abandoned like a massive Airbnb nobody paid for. Some scholars think it was multi-ethnic, with people from all over Mesoamerica living there. Imagine New York City, but with more human sacrifices. Number 3, Caral. Before the Incas, before the Mayans, there was Caral in Peru. Around 500 years ago, while Egyptians were stacking pyramids in the desert, the people of Caral were building massive complexes in the Soup Valley. They had pyramids too, but they weren't tombs. They were more like community centers for trade, music, and ritual. Archaeologists even found flutes made from pelican bones. So yes, ancient Peru had live concerts powered by bird bones. What makes Caral fascinating is what it lacked. No weapons have been found. None. This suggests the city thrived on trade and culture rather than war. In other words, it was like ancient Coachella. Huge crowds, music, good vibes, probably some fermented corn beer on the side. The only mystery is why it collapsed. Climate change may have played a role, which is the ancient version of forgetting to pay your water bill. Number 4, Ephesus. Now let's fly to modern-day Turkey. Ephesus was a Greek city later taken over by the Romans, and it was loaded with wealth and culture. The Library of Celsus still stands today, and back then it was one of the largest libraries in the world. Imagine walking into a marble building filled with scrolls that smelled like wisdom and mildew. Ephesus also had an advanced water system, a massive theater for 25,000 people, and one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the Temple of Artemis. But here's the part that will make you laugh. The city even had stone toilets lined up in a row side by side with flowing water underneath. Yep. Public restrooms where men sat elbow to elbow doing their business while chatting politics. And if you think that's shocking, archaeologists also found a secret underground tunnel connecting a brothel to the library. You're going to the library and disappearing underground for a few hours. Ancient men were sneaky. Number 5, Angkor. If you think Las Vegas is big, wait until you hear about Angkor in Cambodia, a country in Southeast Asia. At its peak around the 12th century, it may have been home to up to 1 million people, making it one of the largest cities on Earth at the time. Angkor Wat is the crown jewel, the largest religious monument in the world, but the real genius of Angkor was hidden underground. The Khmer engineers built a vast hydraulic system. They diverted rivers, built reservoirs the size of lakes, and designed canals to irrigate farmland. Basically, they hacked the environment to keep food flowing to the city. It was like an ancient version of smart farming, except instead of AI drones, they had thousands of workers with shovels. But nature eventually won. Droughts and floods stressed the system until the city collapsed. Today, tourists see only the stone temples. But if you zoom out with satellites, the footprint of Angkor stretches for miles, showing how massive the system once was. It was a city that thought way bigger than its time. Number 6. Cahokia. Before Columbus, before skyscrapers, North America had Cahokia near modern St. Louis. Around the year 1100, this city had 20,000 people, bigger than London at the time. Its centerpiece was Monk's Mound, a massive earthwork larger than the Great Pyramid of Giza's base, and millions of people did this with baskets of dirt. Cahokia also had a wooden calendar called Woodhenge, basically a Native American Stonehenge used to track the seasons and plan agriculture. But the city had its dark side. Archaeologists found evidence of human sacrifice, including mass graves of young women. So while Cahokia was advanced in planning and astronomy, it was also a place where your worst nightmare might come true if you lost the wrong lottery. What's wild is how quickly it disappeared. By 1350, the city was abandoned. Disease, resource depletion, or political collapse could have caused it. Today, most Americans have never even heard of Cahokia, which is ironic since it was once the largest city north of Mexico. Number 7. Alexandria. Finally, let's talk about a city that was basically the Silicon Valley of the ancient world. Alexandria, founded by Alexander the Great in Egypt, was a hub of knowledge, trade, and science. The famous Library of Alexandria tried to collect every scroll on Earth. Legend says ships entering the harbor had to surrender their manuscripts, which were copied and stored in the library. Talk about aggressive book club rules. The city also had the Lighthouse of Pharos, one of the 7 wonders guiding ships with mirrors and fire. But the real genius was the people. Scholars like Euclid developed geometry here. Archimedes may have studied there. Doctors dissected humans to learn anatomy, which sounds creepy but was groundbreaking. It was a city where ideas moved as fast as trade goods. Of course, the library eventually burned in one of history's greatest tragedies. Imagine losing not just Instagram, but the entire internet overnight. Still, Alexandria's legacy proves that ancient cities weren't just about survival. They were about pushing human potential. So next time someone says ancient people were dumb, remind them that Mohenjo Daro had plumbing, Teotihuacan had skyscraper pyramids, Caral had bone flutes, Ephesus had sneaky library tunnels, Angkor had hydraulic engineering, Cahokia built pyramids out of dirt, and Alexandria basically invented college. Ancient cities weren't backward. They were experiments in how humans could live together, sometimes succeeding better than us today. Meanwhile, we can't even fix potholes on the highway. Which of these cities blew your mind the most? Let me know in the comments. And if you're still impressed that Mohenjo Daro had toilets, give this video a like because let's be honest, you probably appreciate modern plumbing more than ever.